What is up, everyone? My name is FMSorcerer, and today I want to talk about something a little bit different. So before I do begin, I did want to mention that I have been sick recently and I'm getting a little bit better, but I do still sound a little different. So there is a noticeable change in the way I sound now versus how I sound in my videos at other times. So if you do notice that, I hope it doesn't bother you too much. I am beginning to get a little bit better, like I did say. And also, I'm not gonna make this video that scripted or edited, so if I do seem like I'm rambling on or it doesn't sound like that perfect or as good as some of my commentary does in my other scripted videos, then I hope that doesn't bother you too much either, because I did want to, like I said, talk about something a little bit different today. And that is, a topic that a lot of people have been discussing in the Wizard101 community, specifically on YouTube. And, that is, of course, the future of Wizard101, or how Wizard101 is dying, or how to fix Wizard101, etc. Stuff like that. It's always been a topic of conversation. It's been a thing basically since like 2012 or 2013, I guess. Like, people have always talked about that, but I guess you could say especially more recently it has become, more of a popular discussion. So, a lot of people have, like I said, a lot of YouTubers or WizTubers have been talking about this, in their videos lately. I'm not really going to say any names, but, a big one, and then somebody who I actually make videos with, Anthony. Anthony and I, we've started a streaming series where, we talk about how to fix Wizard101. Mainly just talking about a lot of things we would like to be added to Wiz, to make it a better game and stuff. A few other people have quit. Some have come back. Some have just quit and not come back. I know Mikey quit. Nathan did quit, but decided to come back after a while. But I can't say how much he's really enjoying the game for what it is. Jay quit. Radical Jay quit. The real Jay quit. A lot of people, just tons of people, are just leaving the game, and that's just the WizTubers. So yeah, but everybody knows that, and I'm not going to ramble on about that. What I really want to talk about in this video is, in my opinion, the 3 additions that Wizard101 or KingsOut need to add to Wizard101 to make the game genuinely better. Like, this isn't a wish list video. I do have an idea series that I made a long time ago. Well, not a long time ago, but a few months ago, and I haven't updated recently. I will be making another video for that soon. It is supposed to be a series. But videos like that are more so like, I would like that stuff to be added to the game, but it's not a significant, like, what needs to be done right now. That stuff is more so just like, oh, this would be cool to be added, but it's not going to save the game. And what I'm going to talk about right now are the 3 things I think Wizard101 like need to add to make it a fun game again, and to get players back into the game, and to attract new players. And keep in mind, before I start, this is personal, so a lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about here, you may not agree with. You may think that Wizard101 needs to add other stuff, but I think that these are the things they really need to do. And I will emphasize and explore this in the future and talk about it a lot more in other videos. But for now, let's go ahead and get started with the number 1 thing that I think that KingsOut need to do. And I hope KingsOut, if you're watching this video, and I know every WizTuber says this, but seriously, if you're watching this video, please consider these things, because they actually do need to be added to the game, in my opinion. So number 1 is a graphics update. And the reason why I say a graphics update needs to be added to Wiz is because not only would it be one of the biggest updates ever, but it would attract new players and bring back a lot of old players who have quit. Now, I think a graphics update would bring back, would add new players more so than it would bring old players back to the game, but a lot of old veterans would be attracted to come back to the game if they updated the graphics, in my opinion. And I've stressed this many times among my friends and said stuff like, if Wizard101 were to make a graphics update, just for one update, like a summer update or something, all they did was update the graphics and made them look like the commercials, I think that alone would be okay for one update. Like, you wouldn't even have to do anything else. I would be okay with that. And before I go on, let me just show you this. Just look at this real quick, and you cannot tell me that this would not, like, you cannot tell me that if the game looked like this, you would not want to play it even more. Would you not want to play Wizard101 more or have more excitement to log onto the game if it looked like that? I certainly would. And not only would it entice more players to come to the game, but also it would be a good business decision for KingsIsle because it would offer entirely new possibilities for them. They would be able to make the gear sets look better. We would be able to have different particles added to the game, like, you know, fire particles or storm particles, like sparks coming off of the stitches and stuff. They would be able to make things look nicer. They would be able to have a better spell animations. If they wanted to try an entirely different system with the way that spells look, they could do that, like have alternate spell animations. I know they already have that, but they could make it look even more different. And also, more importantly, the worlds would have lots of better visuals. Imagine Imperia, which is supposed to be a cloud-themed world, having graphics like what you saw in the commercial just now. That would be amazing. Polaris had really great graphics, but the decrease in graphics from Polaris to Mirage is so noticeable, and I do understand because Mirage was a lot longer than Polaris, so they probably had to spend a lot more money on animations and stuff like that for, you know, Mirage than they did have to for Polaris, and they didn't want to really take that risk. I get it, but I do know that KingsIsle has money. They may be, Wizard101 may be dying and losing players, but I know that they have a lot of money, or at least enough to make the game look the way that it looked in the commercials. There has to be enough money to do that. So KingsIsle, number one, graphics update. I think this would be a perfect business decision because, like I said before, you would be able to do a lot more with it wouldn't just add graphics, but it would also allow you to do other things. You know, it opens more possibilities. Worlds looking better, gear sets looking better, spell animations looking better. So now let's move on to the number two thing that I think that KingsIsle really need to add to Wizard101 to make it fun again. So for number two, I think that KingsIsle really needs to add raid dungeons to Wizard101. Now, for those of you who do not know what a raid dungeon is, it is basically in an MMO, you have a bunch of players go into a dungeon together, and you all have to defeat this huge boss who has like a lot of health, and you have to work together and put your skills together, like, and work as a team to take down that boss. And the rewards are really, really legendary. Like, you get great gear and stuff like that. So the reason why I think this is really significant and important and would be a great addition to Wizard101 and draw back a lot of interest from players is because, one, it's easily advertised. Like, just think about the tournament commercial that used to run on the TV for Wizard101 when they first added PvP tournaments. It was a great commercial, and it did add a lot more interest in the game. Not as much as I think raid dungeons would, but it still was a pretty good business decision for them. Another reason why raid dungeons would be great is because it's timeless, meaning that in the game, basically when you beat the game, you could always go back and do a raid dungeon. Like, there's a lot of expansion that they could do. They could add storyline. Like, it doesn't have to just be a dungeon. They could have storyline and have, you know, different DLC or reasons why we're doing these dungeons. The gear that we would get from the dungeons would obviously have to be really great. You know, Darkmoor gear. It shouldn't be too easy to get the gear, though. I think they should make it a little bit of a challenge, which is the point of a raid dungeon. It's really hard. You know, they could add an entire new system to the way that battles are. You know, maybe make the dual circle instead of 4 players, 8 players, or 6 players, or something like that. That would definitely draw interest from players. Like, come on, KingsIsle. That would draw interest because players would be like, wait, you can have more than 4 people in a dual circle now? Oh yeah, I definitely want to check that out. It would add a lot of community teamwork because the community would have to work together to beat these raid dungeons. You could also do other things where, you know, it's a race to beat the raid dungeon. So there's different teams. So there's 4 people or 6, however many, if they make the dual circle larger. There's 4 people, then there's another 4 people. There's like different teams, and they all have to do the raid dungeon at the same time, but it determines who wins it first. Also, it's a unique update. Like, Wizard101 has never added something like this. You know, it would be a large addition to the game, and like I said before, people would have a reason to do this. It's not just something like monstrology. Like, why would I want to do monstrology? What do I get from that? No, doing a raid dungeon, I know that I'm going to get really great gear. So that is the number 2 thing that I think that Wizard101 should add to make it a more interesting game. And finally, for number 3, is something called paths. Now, paths is basically being able to seek your own career in Wizard101. Now, when I say career, I don't mean something stupid or gimmicky like, oh, you get to become a professional race car driver or a chef or something like that. No. That's not what I mean. I mean, the way that I would have this path system work is have 3 different crafts that you can explore. One, being able to learn the backstory of Wizard101. And by learning the backstory, you get to uncover new clues and lots of hidden areas in the spiral that we have never seen before. Or maybe even side world. The second one would be being able to, you would be able to train in crafting gear or learning the history of gear in Wizard101, where it comes from, how it's made, the magic behind it, within it, how wands work, how, you know, stats on gear works, being able to make your own gear, maybe the appearance of it, not too overpowered if it does have stats, but you could maybe have unique stats that you can put on this gear. You would learn it from different professors. They could add different professors like they do with astrology, except this would be more interesting. Trust me, I think this would be a lot better than something like astrology. Or the third one, if you don't want to do, you know, backstory or clothing, but being able to be learning the history of spells and how spells work, magic in the spiral, the different type of magic that there is, the subcategories of ice and fire and storm and the spirit school, because there is more than just fire. Not only is there fire, but there's ember, there's other types of magic that go underneath, you know, the main schools. So being able to do that would allow you to maybe make your own spell, not overpowered once again, but you could, you know, make it have a cool animation or something like that. And maybe it's not used in PvP, it doesn't have to be, but you would be able to train, and it would keep players occupied and interested in the game. It's a great end game in my opinion, and it is something that is entirely different and unique to the game, and it would be easily advertised for King's Isle. I think you could advertise this very easily to new players. So those are the 3 things. Now I know there are going to be people who are complaining in the comment section or asking, what about PvP? Why didn't you talk about making PvP better? And the reason I did not is because everybody knows that Wizard101 needs to fix PvP. So that is sort of an honorable mention for this list, because obviously PvP does need to be fixed, max PvP to be more specific. And I'm not going to talk about what King's Isle needs to do to fix, you know, PvP. We all know that the turn system needs to be fixed, shadow spells, pierce jewels, stuff like that. We all know that that stuff needs to be fixed. So King's Isle, if you do decide to fix PvP, which you really should, because that is in itself one of the huge reasons why a lot of people still play Wizard101, then definitely go for it. But as far as things that Wizard101 needs to add to the game to increase interest and keep people wanting to play the game and make it last longer, a graphics update, raid dungeons, and paths are what I believe Wizard101 needs to do right now to keep Wizard101 going and make it more interesting. Now, that doesn't mean that that's all they need to do, because there are certainly a lot of other things that need to be fixed with the game and that can be added to the game in the future. But for now, in my opinion, I think that these 3 things would make the game a lot better. So if you agree, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, comment down below your own opinions on what I talked about in the video specifically. What do you think about a graphics update or raid dungeons or paths? Would that keep you interested in Wizard101 if you were considering quitting the game? So yes, PvP does need to be fixed in King's Isle. I hope you do fix that as well. A lot of people have talked about wanting PvP to be fixed, and I do think you need to be paying more attention to that part of it as well. But I hope you do add these 3 things to the game and consider it for, if not the summer update, because I know summer is soon, the fall update. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.
My mother told me that the world has got its plan.